What is up, you guys? It is Geography Joe coming at you with a brand new video today. And today, this video will be about the 7 smallest capital cities in the world. Now, I hope you guys like this new style of video I'm going to do. Not all my videos from here on out will be like this, but I hope you guys enjoy me just talking to the camera and using Google Maps. I am using IBX2Cat style. I really like his style, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Anyway, the concept of a capital city is a fairly simple one. In the United States, our capital city is Washington, D.C. It is the location of our government, the national government. So it's where the Congress meets, it's where the House meets, and of course it's where the Senate meets, it's where the President of the United States lives, it's where, you know, the government of the country comes from Washington, D.C. In Canada, this is Ottawa. And in Europe, there are obviously a lot of capital cities you've definitely heard of, like Paris, London, Rome, Madrid, Lisbon, Berlin, Warsaw, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Oslo, Helsinki, Moscow, Athens, you name it. Like, the capital city in many countries' cases is the shining example of the culture of that country. It is the economic center of the country. It is the center for tourism of a country. And it is, of course, the center of diplomatic relations for a country. And quite often, the capital city is the largest city within a country. However, this is not always the case, and nor is the case that all capital cities are large metropolitan cities. So today, we're going to be looking at the 7 smallest capitals in the world. And now let's just get right into it with Malta. The capital city of Malta is Valletta, which is right here, and it is located on the Scabarus Peninsula, and as you can see, it is a very, very small city. It is only home to about 6,400 residents, and it was built in the 1500s because they wanted, being that Malta is located in such a, central strategic location just right in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea. Malta always has been influenced by many cultures and taken over by many cultures, and they wanted a capital city that they could fortify and defend. So they chose the Scabarus Peninsula because if you look on a satellite, you can see there's a fort here, there's a fort here, there's a fort here, there's a fort here, there's a fort here. All these places where they could defend their capital city from attackers and invaders. So the capital is only 6,400 people, but the metropolitan area is, of course, much larger than that. About 300,000 people live in Malta's metropolitan capital area. And Malta, fun fact, is the 10th smallest country in the world. It is the smallest country in the European Union by both land area and population. And it is one of the most densely populated countries in the world because 460,000 people live in Malta. However, the island is only 122 square miles. So, the island nation, the 3 islands, I guess. So, very densely populated country. And that is the 7th smallest capital in the world. To find number 6, the 6th smallest capital, we have to go up into the Alps where we find the tiny landlocked microstate that is Liechtenstein, which is right here. Yeah, I don't know why it's not showing it, but this is Liechtenstein. Come on, Google Maps, hurry up. Anyway, yeah, so you can see, okay, no, I was wrong. This is Liechtenstein. Anyways, Liechtenstein, here's its flag, is a country that I have had the incredible privilege of actually personally visiting. When I lived in Madrid, Spain for 4 months for a semester abroad, I managed to visit Liechtenstein on a weekend trip because I really wanted to say that I've been there, and I have now. So we took a train from Munich, Germany into Salzburg, Austria. From there we took a train to Innsbruck, and then from there we took a train to Feldkirch, which is right here. And then from Feldkirch we took a little bus into Liechtenstein, and they have these cute little lime green buses that traverse the entire country, and it's just great. Liechtenstein's a tiny little nation. It's the 6th smallest country in the world. It's only home to about 37,000 people, and it is literally like 4 miles wide and 20 miles north to south. And Vaduz is its capital city with a population of about 5,450 people. Now, Vaduz is not actually the biggest city in Liechtenstein. No, that title goes to Schaan, which is the town that is right directly north of Vaduz, and this is Schaan right here. Schaan has about 5,700 people, so that's more than Vaduz, and therefore it's the biggest city in the country, although Vaduz is obviously the one that people know more than Schaan because Vaduz is the capital of Liechtenstein. Now, being that I've been to Vaduz, I gotta say there isn't a whole lot to see there. The Prince's Castle, which is this picture right here, you can see that from pretty much anywhere in the entire city, as well as the entire country for that matter. And there are, you know, tourism shops where, like the one where I bought this flag. There's the museum for Liechtenstein. There's where you can get your passport stamped. There's all sorts of expensive clothing stores and restaurants and whatnot, because it's a pretty wealthy country. But yeah, that's Vaduz, the 6th smallest capital city in the world. If you're wondering why Liechtenstein exists, basically back in the Holy Roman Empire days, a family from Czechia, which was at the time Bohemia, bought land over here, and they wanted to be princes really bad, so they asked the Holy Roman Empire, using like political, I know a guy, you know how politics goes. They were like, can we be a prince of something? We bought this land. We're the princes of it now, right? And they were like, sure, yeah, you're the Prince of Liechtenstein. How's that for you? And they're like, cool. But they never even went to Liechtenstein for like 120 years. They just kind of owned it, and it was their principality. But whatever, Liechtenstein managed to stay a country because when the Holy Roman Empire unified into Germany, Liechtenstein was sandwiched between Switzerland and Austria, which were different countries, and so it never got absorbed into Germany, which is just interesting, and now it exists as a country today. Anyway, 5th smallest capital city in the world is San Marino. Now, San Marino is the capital city of the Republic of San Marino, but for a long time, San Marino was the only city in the country. In fact, it was basically a city-state. So, back in the year 301, yes, 301, there was a guy from Croatia named Saint Marinus, and he wanted to escape religious persecution, so he goes onto the slopes of Monte Titano in Italy, which, as you can see right here, is, you know, it's a steep mountain. It's like kind of hard to get up there, and it's especially hard to, you know, it's pretty easy to defend it, for that matter. And he just sort of started his own independent commune as a city-state. And this, of course, back in the day, Italy was all city-states. But yeah, so it was basically the entire country was just this little sliver of land right here. And then over the last 2,000 years of San Marino still existing, San Marino, I don't know what it's doing right now. Okay, there we go. San Marino just sort of still exists because of good diplomatic relations and friendly, you know, land swaps and stuff. Napoleon offered them the land over here so it could have a seaport, and San Marino said, nope, we don't want that because then someone's going to invade us and take us over because we now have valuable land. Right now, San Marino's land is not valuable at all. It's just a freaking mountain in the middle of Italy with some farms surrounding it, like a little, you know, some small towns. Serravalle is actually the biggest city in San Marino, not San Marino itself. But that's San Marino for you. It is only home to 33,000 people as a country, and the capital city is only home to 4,493 people, which is about 13% of the country's population. But still, I mean, it's just a very tiny country, San Marino. Anyway, moving on to the 4th smallest capital city in the entire world, we have Tuvalu's capital of Funafuti. Tuvalu is over here. So Tuvalu is a country with only about 11,000 people. Some estimates put the population as low as 9,900. And the capital city is, by definition, the atoll of Funafuti, which is over here. This is Funafuti Atoll. Vaiaku is the name of one of the villages, and so is Fongafale over here. And then, like, you go south, and there are technically some other villages that exist on this atoll. But, you know, not really. It's kind of just, you know, very narrow strips of land. But this entire atoll is considered to be the capital of Funafuti. And most of the people, obviously, you know, like, let's look over here. This is where people live. Those are waves. Okay, this is where people live. Like, imagine this, like, living on this, in the middle of nowhere, in the Pacific Ocean. Your entire country has 10,000 people. The capital, Funafuti, is home to half of the country with about 4,492 people. Yes, that is one less than San Marino's capital, interestingly enough. But yeah, this is Funafuti. This is their airport, and the government of Tuvalu is performed here. Tuvalu is a country that is probably going to not exist in about 20 years because sea levels are going to rise and just swallow up the islands, which is sad, but it's the truth. But yeah, Tuvalu is a very interesting country, and their capital is Funafuti, which only has 4,400 people. Moving on, we're staying in the South Pacific for this one. The 3rd smallest capital city in the world is Nauru's capital. Now, a lot of people know about Nauru just because it's such a bizarre place, you know, just in general. It's just an interesting country. The population of Nauru is about 10,800. It's a little more than Tuvalu, but some say it's a little less than Tuvalu. I mean, you'd think it'd be easy to count the population when it's only about 10,000, but I guess not. Nauru is the only sovereign state in the entire world without an official capital city. The capital is considered to be Yaren district because this is where Taiwan's embassy and... What is this picture? Did someone just like upload this picture for Yaren, Nauru? Yeah, I guess they did. Anyway, so Nauru's capital is de facto Yaren because that's where the Parliament House is. It's where Australia and Taiwan have their embassies. Taiwan has relations with Nauru, so Nauru can recognize them as a country because, you know, Nauru... even though it's so small, it is still a country, and Taiwan has money, and they want to be a country, and so Taiwan just gives Nauru money to say, hey, we're a country, and Australia and Nauru are considered to be, like, tight states because the Australian Refugee Detention Center, I think it's over here, I think, yeah, this is it. The detention center is in Australia. I mean, Australia's detention center is in Nauru, which is controversial, yes, but, you know. So yeah, Yaren only has about 1,100 people, which is like the size of, you know, a very small village in the United States. Like 1,100 people is nothing. Even the country itself having 10,000 people, that's smaller than most cities. But yeah, Nauru, third smallest capital in the world. And moving on to the second smallest capital in the entire world, we go to, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention, Nauru is, yes, it's right south of the equator, but Nauru used to be the world's richest, ooh, that's weird, used to be the world's wealthiest country per capita, like in the entire world, because it had, the entire island, the one island that makes up this country, is, it was really rich in phosphate, which is just bird poop, and they mined all the phosphate, and now they don't have any phosphate, but when they did, they had a lot of money, especially for such a small population, and so nowadays the unemployment rate is 90+%, and the obesity rate is above 95%. They don't really have anything going on anymore, but what do you expect from a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean? Anyway, moving on to the second smallest capital city in the world. It isn't Italy's capital. It isn't even Rome, but it is the Vatican City, which is a country completely surrounded by the city of Rome. Now, the Vatican is its own capital in the sense that Vatican City is so small that it doesn't have a capital city. It just is the capital. Like, it's its own capital. So, being that it's such a small country, though, it is the second smallest capital city in the world with only about 826 residents and a land area of about 0.17 square miles. Of course, this means that the Vatican's capital is home to 100% of the country, but that's just how city-states work. Anyway, the Vatican... It's confusing. I mean, everyone knows about the Vatican. It's just the microstate that the Pope lives in. He lives here. The other 800 residents are like, you know, cardinals and bishops and whatever, what have you. But it's a very interesting country. The reason it exists independent of Italy is because the Papal States used to control a very large portion of Italy, which was, of course, the Papal States were run by the Pope. And when Italy took over the Papal States, the Pope refused to recognize that the Kingdom of Italy had taken over the Papal States. And eventually, Benito Mussolini in 1929 made the Lateran Treaty, which was a compromise between Italy and the Pope, saying that, okay, Pope, and the Pope, by the way, important to note that the Pope was taking refuge in the Vatican, because the Vatican is a walled city. If you can see the walls around it, sort of. But he was taking refuge in St. Peter's Basilica because the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Basilica are within the walls of the Vatican. And Mussolini made the treaty that if the Pope recognizes Italy, then Italy will recognize the Vatican as its own sovereign independent state where the Pope resides. And the Pope was like, okay, deal. And that is the way that the smallest country in the entire world was created. It is a sovereign country. It's a city-state, but it is a country. There's no arguing that it's a country. But anyways, moving on to the world's smallest capital city. This is probably not a place you've ever even heard of. We're going to the South Pacific again for the small island nation of Palau. Now, Palau is a small colonia. That's part of Micronesia. Anyway, excuse me. Palau is a small island nation in the middle of the South Pacific Ocean. It is the world's fourth least populated country. It only has about 21,000 people, which is less than the city that I live in, which I just think is crazy. It is a country in free association with the United States, meaning that the U.S., along with Marshall Islands and Micronesia, it means that the United States is responsible for its military defense, and it sends aid to the countries whenever. And if you're a citizen born in Palau, you can work in the the United States without a visa. Same goes for the other two countries. But yeah, Palau is a very small country. It's in land area, it's actually kind of big for a Pacific Island nation, you know, like it's got all this land, but the capital city and largest city for a long time was Koror, which is right here. Koror is the largest city in all of Palau, with about 10,000 people. It's home to half the country. And yeah, it's not it's not very big or anything, but like it's their biggest city. But the island of Battledaub, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but this is the island of Battledaub, it was in 2000. No, I have my notes here just because I can't remember the years. In 1979, legislature was passed saying that the capital should be moved from Koror to Battledaub, anywhere on the island of Battledaub. They didn't care where. And plans were made to build the capital in 1986, but progress was slow because the nation didn't have any engineers or construction workers or any. I mean, like it's an island in the middle of the Pacific. People don't really have like, you know, that many skills as far as building a giant Capitol building goes, because they don't, you know, they live on island time. You don't have to do very much out there. And but in the early 2000s, Taiwan, back to Taiwan, giving diplomatic relations with these Pacific Island countries, Taiwan gave Palau $20 million to construct the new Capitol building, and they constructed it here in Ngerulmud. Ngerulmud. I have no idea how to say this, but there it is. That's the capital of Palau. You can see that this is the, like, let's see, that's the whole city. So if we're looking at these borders, you go back to this, and this is the capital. The capital city is home to about 300 people, which is the lowest of any capital city. Like, that's an extremely small place. And if you look on Google Street View, this is, oh my god, there we go. This is the Capitol building of Palau. Now, that is their Capitol building. For a country of only about 20,000 people, they have one of the biggest Capitol buildings I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, this thing's huge because they were just given money from the U.S. and Taiwan to build a Capitol, and they did. Now, some sources will list the capital city as Malikiak, which is the state that Ngerulmud is located in. See, this is Malikiak right here. Well, it didn't show the borders, but oh, okay, so I don't know why some sources say Malikiak. But anyway, that is the world's smallest capital. And yeah, so Palau, world's smallest capital city, only 300 people. Oh, this is Malikiak State. Yeah, so some sources will list Malikiak as the capital, but it's really just the town of Ngerulmud. But yeah, thank you guys. That concludes my video. Thank you guys for watching the 7 smallest capital cities in the world. And before I go, I'm going to give a couple of honorable mentions to the Pitcairn Islands, which are way out here. Jesus, they're way out here. I don't even think I can find them. They're very hard to find, honestly. I know they're in this general area, so I'm going to zoom in right around here. There it is. Pitcairn Islands. So, the Pitcairn Islands is a British overseas territory with a population of 50 people. Now 50 people. Only 50 live in the Pitcairn Islands, and they all live on the capital city of Adamstown, which is right here. So it's not a country, it's a territory of the United Kingdom, but it is still a place that exists, and the capital is only 50 people in it. I mean, this is literally the whole thing. I wonder what those people are up to right now, you know? Like, maybe they're fishing or something. But, and another honorable mention has to go to Montserrat in the Caribbean Sea, because Montserrat is a British overseas territory whose capital city has a population of 0. Because Plymouth is the capital, and no one lives there because the island has been, Plymouth has been abandoned since a volcano erupted in the early 2000s. So no one lives there anymore, but it's still officially the capital. Braids is now the capital, like, you know, functionally the capital, but it's not officially the capital. So, you know, Plymouth is the only capital of any place in the world that has 0 people. Anyway, guys, this has been my video about the smallest capital cities in the world. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.